would like to request Her Excellency Isabelle Rome to share her insights regarding the issue. Thank you.
So thank you. It's an honor for me to speak before you today, and I would like to thank you for your invitation. I'm the French ambassador for human rights. I previously served as a magistrate for nearly 30 years, as a senior official in the Ministry of Justice, and as Minister for Gender Equality, Diversity, and Equal Opportunity. I quickly understood from my early years as a magistrate the importance and scope of human rights, beginning my career as a judge responsible for the enforcement of sentences in Lyon in an overcrowded prison. However, it was over the years that I really came to understand the issues surrounding gender equality, and as president of a criminal court, the seriousness of violence against women. This violence has profound repercussions, not only on gender equality, but on society as a whole. It is a real disaster. France has chosen a legal approach to guarantee women's emancipation. The second half of the 20th century was marked by a succession of laws that allowed women to enjoy greater freedom and autonomy. The right to vote in 1944, but the right to work without their spouse's consent and to have a bank account in 1965, the right to access contraceptions a few years later, and finally the decriminalization of abortion and the right to abortion under certain conditions in 1975. These fundamental legal advances were then accompanied by measures designed to ensure women's equal participation in political and economical life. True equality cannot be achieved without eradicating violence against women. I repeat always that. As measure cause championed by the President of the Republic during his 5-year terms, the fight against gender-based violence gained with new momentum in 2017. As the senior official responsible for gender equality at the Ministry of Justice, I had the opportunity to coordinate the Grenelle on domestic violence, which resulted in a comprehensive and effective action plan made possible by the cooperation of government agencies, associations, grassroots actors, and victims. However, women's rights cannot be taken for granted. What one law can do, another law can undo, and the task now is to protect and perpetuate them. The inclusion of the right to abortion in the French Constitution on March 8, 2024 is a significant step. The aim of President Fraser's approach to gender equality is not to lecture, but rather to share expertise, establish constructive and open dialogue, particularly in the context of bilateral relations, and share best practices. I remain at your disposal for any questions you may have on these topics. Thank you.
Her Excellency Isabelle Rome. First of all, I'd like to thank her for the soul-stirring New Year greeting that she had on her Instagram account. Secondly, I'd like to know, as the youngest judge in France at the age of 23, how did a gender-based violence case help shape your illustrious career?
Working on gender-based violence cases happened much later in my career, and many cases shaped my commitment to fighting such violence. For example, I remember Madeleine, 75 years old, who spent 50 years of her life with an abusive husband. He hit her, humiliated her, and forced her to sleep in the basement. When she was 17 years old, her children helped her realize how serious her situation was. She reached out to a local women's rights organization, filed a complaint, and found an appointment. I met with her a few months later. She looked radiant. I asked her if she could find a few moments of happiness. I didn't dare ask her if she was already happy, but she told me. But yes, I am happy, really. I remember Leila, a mother of 3 children, very bitter. She was brutally hit every night by her husband in front of her children. He would tie her wrists with electric cables. Her body was found one morning with a hammer next to it. The police investigation revealed that she was smothered to death with a pillow and that their husband then raped her lifeless body. I remember Leila's picture. She was wearing a gorgeous lace dress. She was smiling. She looked beautiful. For Leila, for Madeleine, for every woman I met in my courtroom, and for those I only met through pictures, because it was late and I judged murders, I'm fighting and I will fight until my last breath against violence.
Her Excellency Isabelle Rome to let us know how her extensive background in the judiciary assisted you in implementing policies for equality and human rights. Thank you.
So, as magistrates, we are confronted with extremely complex situations that constantly challenge us. I would say that in this situation, I have been guided by 2 compasses, the law and the respect for human dignity. The law must establish a clear framework, and public policies must be rooted in the realities of the world. So, you ask me to give some examples. So, for example, when I was a judge responsible for liberty and detention, I had to hear people suffering from mental illness and involuntarily hospitalized. I had to hear them to decide if they had to be held in the hospital. And I decided to hear them not at the tribunal, but in the hospital. And for me, it was a matter of respect for their dignity. And a year later, the law was changed to take that into account. Perhaps another example, as high civil servant for the Ministry of Justice, I was responsible for coordinating the Grenelle of domestic violence, our national strategy to combat domestic violence, and my experience as a judge enabled me to propose extremely concrete measures rooted in the realities of the world, and for example, specialized codes for domestic violence, anti-approach bracelets for perpetrators, or delivery of protection judicial measures in 6 days, or in case of high danger, in 24 hours.